The White Lotus season 3, we're back, y'all. So I missed last week's episode. I was at South by Southwest and got really busy. I did manage to watch the episode though, and now we are here. We're gonna get back to our normal schedule. So if you're interested in South by Southwest stuff, stay tuned. This whole week's gonna be filled with that. But this episode was really the fork in the road where we're about to see these characters go on a point of no return, right? So the biggest thing was Lori, Jacqueline, Kate going on this expedition with these Russian guys and pretty much just seeing that maybe some of them aren't on the same page with one another. And I really found it so interesting to see it all just happen, right? Kate was really on the defensive a lot of the time here, and she just wanted to go back home. And I mean, from the previous episodes, we've seen Lori and Jacqueline sort of bond together a bit more than at the beginning of the season, where we saw that Kate and also Jacqueline were a bit more closer. It seems now Lori, Jacqueline are kind of on the same page, that they just want to party hard. But we see by the end of the episode that Jacqueline, even though she had been pushing Lori to hook up with Valentine, she herself hooks up with Valentine. And of course, this is probably due to everything going on with her marriage and all of that. And I'm pretty sure this is going to raise a lot of tension between them. Because in the next episode, we do see Kate and Lori talking about Jacqueline. And I think that's going to be something that's going to become a big thing between the trio and really start to tear them apart. Which I thought was pretty interesting as well to see in this episode, that they can go back and forth. And during a whole, like, after the episode, like, talk, they did talk about how Mike White sort of had this, like, epiphany when he saw three friends like this, where if one friend got up and went somewhere, the two friends would talk about them and vice versa. And it would just happen like this. Like, they just were always sort of tearing themselves apart. But we also saw Saxon and Lachlan, who of course are brothers, partying it up with Chelsea and Chloe. Of course, Chelsea is currently with Rick. Rick is in Bangkok, and we'll get to that in a bit, because that Sam Rockwell appearance was definitely a roller coaster of a ride. But Chloe is with, of course, Greg, or otherwise now going as Gary. And we saw them partying it up, right? Like, they were ready, they were excited, and eventually they go on this like boat, and we see that Saxon and Lachlan lock lips, and everybody's just like, hold on, y'all are siblings, what is going on? So I think things are just gonna get a little bit weirder from here, like I've said before. And this is not the only thing that the Ratliffs are dealing with. Of course, we know from the previous episode that Timothy is on the verge to going to prison for everything he has done with Kenny and all of this whole scheme they had together. And so in this episode, of course, from the previous one, we know he stole Guy Talk's gun, and Guy Talk already knows that Timothy has a gun, but he just doesn't know the way to approach Timothy, right? He doesn't know how he can get this gun. But we eventually do see that Timothy's using this gun to pretty much end his whole life. And just as he's about to do it, of course, we see that he is stopped by his wife, and she's basically like, hey, you've made it, you've got everything, you have no reason to pretty much do anything drastic or feel stressed, right? She doesn't know he's going to end his life, right, when she comes in, because he hides the gun, but she knows something's up with the husband, and she's just trying to get her family together, because previously Piper had laid down that she was going to be staying in Thailand for a year after she graduates in order to be more in tune with Buddhism, and that was something, of course, she was very, very bad about. So the Ratliffs are dealing with the two brothers locking lips and seemingly in this weird predicament. Piper's going to stay in Thailand in order to sort of get her life together and become a Buddhist. And Timothy's about to end his life. So it looks like we got the character of Parker Posey dealing with so much, and she can't find her medication. So she's all over the place with this, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how that is going to be resolved in the next one. Now, we do see Rick is in Bangkok, and we do know that he is trying to get revenge, retribution for what happened to his father, and he gets one of his friends to bring him a gun. Now, before all of this is all resolved, he tries to sit down with his pal and try to have a conversation with him before his friend pretty much tells him he's been doing a bit of role playing here and there, and he feels that maybe he's not in the right body, and he's been doing some pretty crazy, gnarly stuff. I don't know if we can even talk about it on YouTube without YouTube demonetizing us, but if you saw the episode, you saw it, and my expressions were just like Rick the whole time, because it kept landing even wilder, crazier, and I was just like, okay, Sam Rockwell. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting episode, all of that as well. Now, in the other side of things, we do have Belinda, who is very scared about Gary Greg, as Fabian says that Greg, Gary, whatever you want to call him, we'll just call him Gary for now, is having an eye out for Belinda, and he wants to meet her and all this. Now, Fabian, of course, thinks this is good for Belinda. He says that Mr. Gary has a ton of money, so it might be something good for her. But Belinda, of course, knows what's up, and she tries to raise this to Gary, who's just like, we will not speak of this. We do not talk about our guest or anything like that. And I thought that was an interesting take right there. So it looks like she doesn't really have anywhere to go right here. Right. So, of course, it's good to see that she has a shoulder to lean on, however, and we're happy to see Belinda is able to get a little bit of stress out, as we saw in this episode as well with Pornchai. So there's something good for Belinda. Now in the next episode, of course, we have a teaser for it, and let's talk about what that teaser is going to be. We'll also have our theories like we always do in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. But pretty much something that we are going to be seeing is that Timothy's going to turn that gun on someone else, which I thought was an interesting approach to it. So I'm curious to see who that's going to be. We also do see that Saxon and Lachlan are going to continue the party up, and also that we're going to see the three best friends sort of come at odds with one another. Like I've said before, these friends are definitely pitting each other, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all gets resolved. And one of the big things, of course, as well, is what does Rick want from Sam Rockwell? Of course, we heard him say at the end of the episode that he was going to ask him for another favor, and it looks like that favor involves maybe helping him commit whatever crime he's trying to commit right now, or help him get out of it. We don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see. It looks like things are definitely starting to hit the wall, and I'm curious to see how this season's going to end. Let me know what you think so far, but I thought it was so interesting as well to see that Timothy is trying to sort of come back to his religion. It looks like religion was such a big theme in this episode, especially with Piper, with Rick and his friend, and also Timothy coming back to ask God what he should do. So I think this next coming episodes are going to be interesting. It looks like Timothy might hold off on ending his life as well. I think he's trying to find out what's the best way to approach all of this. And I'm also interested to see what's going to happen with Saxon and Lachlan, because things are definitely looking kind of weird between the siblings, right? Especially from the first episode. And now this one, I don't know. I think that something's going to happen here. And in this episode 2 that's coming up, it looks like Gary's going to ask Chloe for a favor. And I'm curious to what that's going to be, if it revolves around something with Belinda. But we do see in the trailer that Chloe tells Saxon that we have Gary on you right now for some reason. Maybe Gary is feeling suspicious or something like that, what they're doing, or maybe this is what Chloe's doing and trying to sort of use Saxon as a tool in order to get Belinda. I don't know. Those are theories I'm going to talk about in the next coming episodes, so stay tuned for that. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on this episode. It got pretty wild and raunchy quick, and I'm curious to see the fallout of everything that's happened now, especially Saxon using drugs and all that, which he didn't want to do, and now kissing his brother. It's going to get awkward. It's going to get awkward, I think, and I'm all here for it in the next coming episodes. But as always, make sure you follow us, because I'll have the theory videos on what's coming next, and we have more discussions about it. It was a wild episode, and yeah, I'm happy to be back talking the White Lotus. Like I said, we were out for South by Southwest, so I wasn't able to watch it. Well, I did watch, but I wasn't able to record and upload a video. But here we are. We're back again. Anyways, follow us for more on things you love. Hit that subscribe and notification bell. I'll see you next time. Stay safe. Stay positive.